Yeah, welcome to your August reading. Okay, so I want to talk to you about something called the pain gate theory. So, when you hit yourself, your immediate instinct is to so that's because pain and the nerves that interpret pain are the same nerves that interpret light touch and temperature. So if something hurts you, giving yourself a little nurturing, a little loving, putting something hot or cold on it, or if we're talking in terms of, people and friends and family, being around someone who makes you feel loved, being around someone cool, being around someone fun, these things can mitigate the pain that you may feel. So, in August, you have many, many tools that you can use to keep yourself from being too critical, to give you all the energy you need to excel at work, to have all the great ideas, solve lots of problems, and also some social energy. There's a cup there as well. Meeting people, hanging out, romance, it's all in the cards. So, the Magician being the first card out means that you're very capable. You're feeling yourself. You're good. Now, when you're very capable, your patience tends to run a little thin, right? You want things done the way you want them done because you know that's how they should be done. And what's the problem? It can be a little hard for other people when you're super focused and doing really well. And I know that sounds really weird. Okay, that's not fair. Just because I'm doing well doesn't mean other people should be upset. It's not that they're upset because you're doing well. It's because then your expectations for how they need to perform also are raised, and that can be very difficult for them. Maybe because they don't measure up. But don't be too critical. Don't joke at their expense. Don't do the things that you know would hurt your feelings. That's the easiest way to put it. So you don't feel like I'm admonishing you. And also, you don't needlessly burn bridges that you'll need later, So, from the 16th, you have Venus in your subconscious in Libra. And then, soon after that, you'll start to feel much nicer. So really, it's the first 2 weeks where you have to really watch what you're saying. And instead of, when you feel that nerve, when you feel the pain traveling up that nerve, instead of immediately going to stinging, for those first 2 weeks, you can use things, people, situations, to distract yourself from the pain, distract yourself from the irritation, and make it through those first 2 weeks without really causing much damage. After that, things look super sweet. If you're looking to get into a relationship or have a little fun romantically between the 21st and the 24th, you've got a great chance of meeting somebody. You're also feeling strong enough, some of you, to create familial bonds outside of convention. Some of you are actually creating bonds that you've never created before, whether you're dabbling in different arenas sexually, whether you're becoming very close to people at work and your team building is kind of taken over every other relationship. You're doing things outside of the norm that bring you belonging. They bring you a sense of calm. You feel valued. You feel like people are showing up for you, and that's not always the case. So, for the first time in a long time, the pain that you feel, instead of reacting. You can learn from it. You can take a beat, take a breath, step back, and see what the precursors of the pain are. What is it in you subconsciously that triggers the pain? Why are there things that are said and done around you that may not even apply to you, but they bring out such a violent reaction? You get to see in August what the precursors were to these triggers, especially when Venus moves into Libra. So, your partnerships can be better than they've ever been. But as we move into Uranus retrograde on the 20th, you may find that some deep regrets surface. You start thinking about how your life could have been if you had taken that job, if you had stayed with that person, if you had done, if you had jumped at that opportunity, if you had traveled to that place. And it can get so messy for you, but it doesn't have to be. If you know that the reason the deep regrets are coming up is because Uranus is retrograde, it will make it easier. When you start to feel this way, understand that the best way to deal with regret is action. Move forward. Do something great at work. You have all the spotlight like Libra did last month. Be your charming self. Go out and meet people. Just don't pull any power plays anywhere. Sometimes when you feel deeply regretful, your need to control the outside world can reach a fever pitch. Don't do that. Instead, be flexible. Find a way to work with the people around you. Find a way to make those regrets teachable moments. Find a way to turn those regrets into the insight that informs how you deal with people moving forward. Where have you been rigid? Where can you be more flexible? Where were you not appreciated enough? What should you be paid now? Right? Where was the drama in your life and how did it affect you? And what can you do to not have stuff like that affect your health moving forward? So there are ways to deal with that deep regret without letting it pull you under. Which, you're like, pull me under where? I live there. You can't pull me under. No, I get it. But even though you're down there in the underworld by yourself, you don't have to be. Everybody's got a Persephone. Maybe that's one of the regrets. Let's say it is. Let's say there was a Persephone and you lost them. Let's say that after the 20th, the feeling, the regret, the deep loneliness of it, it's too much. Let that teach you flexibility. Let yourself see where the rigidity took from you and make it into an opportunity to wish for something more, wish for something better. Become a better you. A more flexible you will be a better you, I promise you that. A calmer you, a happier you. Now, does that mean that if as long as you just say nothing, you get through it fine and it's that simple, and if you don't let yourself get caught in the Four of Cups energy and you don't react and you really hold all your power together and you don't give it away to this feeling that everything will be fine? Yeah, that's what I mean. And it will. And you will. But it's not always easy. When the energy wants to show you something, to teach you something, the lesson can be very harsh because you also teach a harsh lesson. And the universe has a way of treating you the way you treat others, which is another reason that it's important in August that you remember this pain gate theory, and you remember that as one would lightly rub a wound, your friends and family are that for you, and you can also be that for them. You can also be a hot compress or a cold compress. Whatever works. Be loving, be cool, be gentle, be nice. And your own regrets won't swallow you up. The energy and the patience that you were able to exhibit at the beginning of August become the karma that pulls you through the middle and the end of August. Victorious, beautiful, successful, and not burdened by the regrets of the past. So much of that is unknown, kind of. It happens and you sort of forget about it, and it becomes nebulous and unknown, and it's fine back there, and then something pushes it out of your subconscious back into your conscious, and it's horrifying because has this been there the whole time? Have I been making decisions off of that pain? So they come up. You see yourself here. You decide to turn it into something magical. Alchemist that you are. Magician that you are. The magician being the first card is also that very direct message. Anything that happens to you in August can end up being a tool on your table, as long as that's what you want it to be. I love it. It's good. It's healing. And it's loving in a way that's not suffocating to you. It's a love that you take by choice instead of being smothered by. You know, people love to paint you as the one who's super intense and drowns people with their love. But the truth is, people love to smother you. And it can agitate you a great deal, as it would anybody. But you end up getting a bad rap for it, as if you don't want to be loved. Of course you want to be loved. But damn, can I breathe? I love you. I love you. Remember that. Hi, Scorpio. Oh, I wish I could explain in great detail where I've been, but I cannot. What I can tell you is that even though I was probably having one of the most tower moment you can have, in the back of my head I kept thinking, oh God, they're gonna think I don't like them. And I'm sure you know there's nothing further from the truth. But it can feel that way. So let's start there. For the next 6 or 7 days, you will feel the pull of being out and about. You will be pulled out by crazy new circumstances, or someone showing up out of nowhere, or spontaneous gatherings. And if you're able to contain your power and use it wisely, so we're moving from the Magician to the Queen of Wands, then everything gets very smooth. Although a few weeks ago, you might have thought, this is never going to smooth out. But inshallah, it will. Now, the one thing you learned from the pain that you've been through is that there is a way around it. If you nurture yourself, if you're kind to yourself, instead of lashing out at others, if you can mitigate the pain by soothing yourself, putting yourself first, then the swords don't come out, and they don't have to. And don't worry. In essence, your reading doesn't really start until the 16th. So we're not really late. On the 16th, something happens. Venus enters Libra and you calm down. You are able to see that even though it may seem upside down, that you are being triggered left and right, that the people you love are being wronged, that you yourself are being put in untenable situations. Still, the pull of Venus in your subconscious makes you stop caring. You just don't care anymore. And I think you say that sometimes as a defense mechanism, but it's very rarely true. Y'all are the first ones to say how much you don't care, but you only do that. You know, the lady doth protest too much. Like, you only do that because you care so deeply, and it's your defense mechanism. But whoa, when you really stop caring, you don't say anything. For you, I don't care is like a love language. But when you really don't care, you walk away clean. And I think the rest of us have all had a really harsh lesson with that at one time or another in our life, where we leaned into the fact that when you didn't care, you actually did. And then one day you didn't, and we weren't prepared for that. Well, this is one of those times. You want to wait until after the 16th, even though there has been this pull from now until the 16th to go out, go out, go out. These happenstances, they just keep happening, these coincidences. You're just pulled into gatherings and outings and dates or whatever it is. But the real game, the time where you start to attract what you really want instead of just attracting everything and everyone, that starts from the 21st to the 24th. And it's the kind of opportunities that come in that are so amazing because they are so specifically tailored to you. It may be a bit jarring even that what approaches you is so on point that it seems unbelievable. But this is one of those times where I have to remind you that your ability to work your energy is so strong that you can't ever think something you wanted is just gone and you never got it. If you look back on your life, you'll notice that there are a lot of things you wanted. And some of them, much, much later than you anticipated, you ended up getting. So it's not your power of manifestation that should be questioned. Instead, it's, can you meet your manifestation where it is? It's always been about your energy level. And I don't mean that to throw any sort of blame on you. This is not about culpability. This is about understanding yourself and being easy on yourself. See, when you know you can manifest anything and then it doesn't happen, there is a very strong tendency within you to blame yourself. Because you can't have it both ways. You can't also feel super, super powerful and then not have things go your way. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of dissonance there. So the only logical explanation you can come up with is that you did something wrong. You didn't do it right. You didn't believe enough. But that's not it. There is nothing wrong with your ability to dream the big dreams, and there's nothing wrong with your ability to create those big dreams for yourself. Or if you prefer, there is nothing wrong with your ability to beseech the Creator to create these opportunities for you, however you choose to look at it. Instead, it may just be that some of the things you truly want and wish for, you weren't emotionally ready for. Even though Scorpios can seem very delicate physically, you're actually quite tough physically. But you're quite fragile emotionally. And the universe is never going to give you more than you can handle. We know that. And for you, that depends on how emotionally available you are for something. So now when these things start to roll in, especially between the 21st and the 24th, just realize that even though some of these things you wanted for a really long time, you're only getting them now because you're emotionally strong enough to handle them. And the reason some of them are so triggering, these new opportunities, is because they bring you back to a time where it's all you ever wanted. And there has been a resentment growing within you that you didn't get it when you needed it. But we don't want to conflate want and need. You wanted it. You didn't need it. You don't need anything. You'll be here long after all of us are gone, I promise. So they're triggering. There is a bit of resentment. There is fear. There is anger. Why didn't I get this when I thought I needed it? Why, when I was harping on it, when I couldn't think of anything else, when abundance was staring me in the face, I still couldn't see it because I was so set on like, this is what I wanted. Why am I getting it now? Because you're emotionally ready now. Because you figured something out. And the only way y'all figure stuff out is by really being put through the ringer, and somehow that hidden desire you have to heal and help everyone around you, to not see people in pain. You're realizing that sometimes that takes you so far off your own path. You're realizing that it's underneath that need to do for others that you truly exist. Not that it's not a part of your personality. It's an integral part of your personality. It's not that. But it's not primary. As much as it may feel like something you can just do, it's still a choice you make. And every time you make that choice and use that magic on someone else instead of yourself, there is this subconscious message. They are more important than you. Now, there's a way to do this. So you, yourself, your subconscious understands that you are just as important. And the trick is to let people in. The way you show yourself that you come first is you let other people help you. You allow yourself to lean on them. You drop the facade of perfection, independence, this lack of need for anyone or anything. See, what I'm telling you is that you really are that way. But what you do is that you're not really that way, but you pretend to be that way, which is kind of funny. It's comical. I didn't say you were comical. So, open up. Tell people you don't need to, okay? Again, this is not about need. Remember, you don't need anything. Do it because you want to. Because it feels great to have just one other person hold space for you and just hear you. And it's funny, when we actually let ourselves be vulnerable and we open up even just a little bit, it's funny how much pours out. So much that you weren't even consciously thinking of, but it's been hurting you, weighing on you. So much that has been obviously hurting on you and weighing on you. See, because the thing is, when Uranus goes retrograde, these deep regrets, they have to come up. But if you can talk them through with people you trust, you will show your subconscious that as much as you are there for others, you are also worthy of having people there for you. And it's no longer about need, and it's no longer about want. It's about being open and vulnerable. It's about being able to admit to yourself that there are some things that just make more sense when you bounce them off somebody else. It's about realizing that some things don't make any sense at all until you bounce them off somebody else. So, you have this great sweet spot where you're pulled out, beautiful opportunities are coming to you. You can't believe actually the nature of how exacting and perfect the opportunities are. Yay! You feel emotionally stable and ready for it. Yay! You can maintain your image as the strong one who has everything together. Yay! But as of the 20th, you open up. Now, there is nothing that precludes you from opening up here. You can still be non-reactive. You can still be the one that has it all and still be vulnerable. My dad said the other day, you shouldn't tell anybody anything. He's a Libra Scorpio cusp. What, you want people to think you have problems? I said, Dad, you don't get it. Nobody judges anyone for having problems. It actually makes people relate to you more. This game that we play of pretending to be divine, pretending to be perfect, which is really the same thing. It's so damaging and it's alienating. Vulnerability may have at some point in your life made people laugh at you. It may have made you the target, but you're not there anymore. You're in a completely different place. And where you are now, vulnerability is a huge asset because it pulls people in and it gathers people together. And it allows for once for someone else to help you. One of the tropes about Scorpios that I have the most problem with is how everyone thinks you're this cold-hearted, my way or the highway kind of person. When really you carry so much of the burden of so many, and you do it in a way that it's imperceptible, the weight you carry. Now, some people are in awe of you for it. Some people are filled with gratitude. And others are so stupid that they can't see past the facade. They can't see that even the strongest of us get hurt, get weighed down, get broken. Now, if you let your pride play on you at the end of August, it will rob you of any joy and connection and insight that you could gain at this time. And that's, of course, what your pride wants you to do. Of course. The ego is a survival mechanism. But it's a very ancient survival mechanism. Study after study has proven that Darwinian competition is wrong. In fact, it is cooperation that prompts our evolution, that propels us into becoming better and better and better. To share yourself, including whatever deep regrets you may have, is to aid in your own evolution. It is to humanize you to people who perhaps unwittingly put so much more on you than they ever would if they knew that this exoskeleton, it may look rock hard, but it's really made of glass. I love glass. People often wonder why I'm so obsessed with it. I mean, everywhere I go, I have beautiful glass. Mashallah. And the reason I love it, maybe this is the Gemini in me, there is a point here, I promise, is because it takes 12 million years for glass to break down, degrade. 12 million years. But if you hit it just right, it's destroyed in an instant. It is simultaneously one of the strongest and most fragile substances we have. And you are very much like that. Beautiful. Able to shine the light that passes through you. Able to convey a beauty and a fragility and a strength that is not all found often in one being. But like glass, you require gloved hands, velvet preferably. And that includes from you too. And that means that sometimes you gotta lean. You gotta lean into the regrets, the pain. You gotta lean on your friends. You've gotta lean back and know that someone will catch you if you fall. And they will. And then you'll get back up, as you always do. And you will be bigger and brighter than you ever were before. And we'll repeat this process probably about 2, 3 times a year for the rest of your years, inshallah. And every time, you will be more resplendent and radiant than you were the time before. So don't worry. Just be soft. It's okay. All right. Good. Good? Good. I like making you agree that good, right? Good. We're going to take a look in the extended at that whole deck of cards right there. We're going to go through each one. And much like in this general, where the major arcana are treated as archetypes and not as signs, we will do that with the entire deck, but we will also look at them as the signs, just in case there's somebody out there that you're wondering about. Just in case you want a little more insight into your relationship with someone or other. We'll also take a look at what happens at the end of August and into September, and how Virgo season will affect you. The links for the extended to get a private reading or to get a live reading are below. There's also a Patreon option where you can subscribe to the Scorpio tier or the Scorpio plus the ZA tier. What is the ZA? The Scorpio tier gives you your part 1, which was available about 10 days ago. It also gives you part 2, this, and the extended. If you are interested in the live readings we do on Instagram, the live meditations we do, and everything else, that is the Scorpio plus the ZA tier. And if you're curious about what happens day to day, what the planets are doing, how it affects you, come join the Rev Fam at the Quietest Revolution on Instagram. Last but not least, as you may or may not know, these are our Quietest Revolution rings. This is the world. This is the Empress. And they are both available at the link below, but there's also an Instagram link for at the Quietest Revolution rings. There you can see a bunch of Rev Fam rocking these rings already. And if I do say so myself, they're dope. So, have a look at those links, and if you would like it all in one place, you can go to ambercon.com. I love you. You know this. I'll see you in the extended right now.